My name is Rahsaan Hall, and I'm running to be your next Plymouth County District Attorney. I'm a civil rights attorney, an ordained reverend, and I used to be a prosecutor in Suffolk County for 8 years, where I handled gun, gang, assault, drug, and homicide cases. I've seen what it is this system can do to keep communities safe, but I also see the ways that this system can cause harm, particularly for poor communities and communities of color. I'm running to be your next Plymouth County District Attorney to reclaim the spirit of justice. For too long, there have been injustices throughout this system, whether or not it's wrongful convictions or other miscarriages of justice or unsolved crimes or people not being treated fairly within the system or the gross racial disparities that exist. I'm here to address all of those things while still keeping our communities safe. For me, what reclaiming the spirit of justice means is caring for victims and survivors of crime, treating them with dignity and respect, making sure that they get the services and support and help that they need, and they're not just treated like a mere witness in a case. Reclaiming the spirit of justice also means raising the level of professionalism and integrity in this office, restoring trust and accountability to the office. The residents of Plymouth County deserve to know what's being done and said in our names and also on our tax dollars. Whenever there is an injustice that happens within this system, the district attorney's office should be responsible and accountable to the community to make sure that it is corrected and made right. Reclaiming the spirit of justice means taking a harm reduction approach for people who are struggling with substance use disorder and mental health issues. We need to make sure that people are getting the treatment and services that we really need to make sure they get. The opioid crisis has wreaked havoc in our country, in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and in Plymouth County. We need to make sure that we are finding the proper ways to get people connected to those services, diverted out of the system, to get the treatment that they need so they don't continue to cycle in and out of this system and be subjected to more harmful conditions that in many instances can lead to death. Reclaiming the spirit of justice means being intentional about addressing some of the racial disparities that exist in this system and other disparities. We can't just shrug our shoulders and say, well, these disparities are what society left on the prosecutor's doorstep. We have to be intentional about collecting data, analyzing that data, and making sure that that data is publicly available to all of the residents of Plymouth County to see with a public data dashboard so people can know and understand what it is the DA's office is doing and what outcomes it's getting. Are people being treated the same regardless of their neighborhood, regardless of how much money they have, or regardless of the color of their skin? It's not going to happen on its own, and it's definitely not going to happen if we're not intentional about developing policies and implementing practices to ensure that that happens. Reclaiming the spirit of justice means that we also need to engage the community at a higher level. Again, the residents of Plymouth County should know what it is that their district attorney's office does on behalf of them. They should know the services that the district attorney's offices provides. They should have an understanding how the district attorney's office works with law enforcement, but can also work with community residents and stakeholders to get the best outcomes for our communities. We need to be proactive in engaging programs, activists, and residents who are going to make sure that we're identifying the root causes of the problems that lead to people being involved in the criminal legal system. We need to be proactively engaged in supporting the work and efforts and programming of organizations and individuals that are trying to work with people who are directly impacted by harm and disruption in our communities, and making sure that they get the resources and the support that they need. This is what it means to reclaim the spirit of justice. I believe that the perspectives that I bring to this role as a civil rights attorney, as an ordained reverend, and as a prosecutor are the right balance and approach to make sure that we have justice for everyone, regardless if you live in Hull or Mattapoisett, Brockton or Plymouth, Bridgewater, West Bridgewater, East Bridgewater, or the place that I live, North Bridgewater, known as Brockton. This is what we all deserve through Plymouth County, and that is what I seek to bring. There are a lot who raise concerns about an approach to prosecution that looks to get treatment and services and better outcomes for our community. And they want to operate under the mantle of law and order and being tough on crime. But what we've learned is that being tough on crime is tough on the system, and it produces failures. What we need to do is be smart on justice. And to the extent that we are concerned about law and order, I'm reminded of the words of the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, who says that law and order exist so that they can produce justice. But when they fail in that, they become dangerous dams that block the flow of social progress. We can no longer afford, as the residents of Plymouth County, to have the flow of social progress blocked by the inadequacies, the inefficiencies, the lack of integrity in this district attorney's office. So I am humbly asking for your support and your vote on or before November 8th. If you'd like to learn more about me, my background, my accomplishments, or the platform that I'm running on and seek to bring to this county, you can find more at hallforda.com. That's Hall, Hall, the number 4, da.com. Thank you, and hopefully I can earn your vote on or before November 8th.